Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first story is titled, Karen Thinks My Sons Are Yard Workers. We are a mostly Hispanic family that lives in a modest middle-class neighborhood. Our teenage sons maintain our lawn and also our neighbor's lawn. She is a single mum and ER nurse and appreciates the help. Cast: Karen. Older son, 19. Younger son, 17. Me. Husband. Asterisk bonus characters at the end. My sons had noticed a few times that there is a woman in a silver Lexus that rolls past our house a few times when they've been out there. She basically just pulls up in front the house and idles in the middle of the street staring. Finally, one evening, she worked up the nerve to roll down the window and speak with them. The first time, Karen, hello. I saw you boys doing the yards and wondered if you could do mine too. Older son, possibly. Where do you live? Karen, I live in 3 miles away, much more expensive neighborhood. Older son, I'm sorry ma'am. We don't have a truck and the lawn equipment won't fit in my car. Karen, okay thank you, no problem. Bye. A couple of weeks later Karen rolls up again. Karen, hello. I saw you boys doing the yards and wondered if you could do mine too. Older son, I'm sorry ma'am. Like we told you last time, we don't have a way to transport our lawn equipment. Also, this isn't really a business. We just do it in our spare time to help out. Karen, well how did you get it all here? Younger son, we live here, and we do our neighbor's yard as a favor. Karen, you live here? Let me speak to your master. Older son, you mean our parents? Karen, no. Your master, owner, boss, whatever. Younger son comes inside to get me and relays what's happening. I'm still a little disbelieving and think he surely misunderstood. Older son just ignores her while she waits and resumes yard work. Me, hello ma'am. How can I help you? Karen, I need to talk to their owner. Points at my sons. Me, I'm their mother, what is the issue? Karen, who is their owner? I want to speak with them. Me, they don't work here, lady. This isn't a business. They are my sons. Karen still doesn't seem to understand that I am the mistress of the house, also referred to, in 2020, as the homeowner. At this point my husband, who is Caucasian, comes out of the house to see what is happening. Karen to my husband, sir. Hi. I was wondering if you would allow your workers to come do my yard. Husband, who has not been apprised of what the hell is actually happening, but realizes something is definitely not right. Hi ma'am. These are my sons. They live here. Is something wrong? Karen seems to finally realize what is happening and mumbles something of an apology to my husband only, and gets back into her car and leaves. But wait, there's more. About an hour later, 2 police officers, 2 separate squad SUVs, show up at our door, lights flashing and weirdly parked blocking the street. My husband answers the door and the officer explains to him that they got a complaint that there was a burglary in progress. My older son provided them with her vehicle description and license plate. He was smart enough to note, sensing she would be trouble. The officers explained that they have gotten several neighborhood watch calls about her. Apparently she often drives around our neighborhood trying to hire handyman, lawn workers for cheap. The next story is titled, I'm a lifeguard, not a waitress. So I just got this job at a country club pool as a lifeguard. The pay is terrible, the people are terrible, the food is decent. The layout of this place is weird, due to COVID. You come in by the guard office, my office, and you have to leave by the poolside grill. No exceptions. So the poolside grill has its own servers and tables, to keep glass away from the pool. Not that anyone ever listens to that rule. The servers wear pink collared tops and black shorts or skirts. I said country club, not classy country club. I wear a big white shirt that says guard on the front and back, a hat, a whistle, and sunglasses. So one lovely, 90-degree afternoon I get down off the guard stand and head over to the grill to get myself a refill on water. This lady taps on my shoulder and asks me to get her another drink. I can't remember what kind, so we'll call it a Cosmo. I tell her in my customer service voice that I'm a guard, not a server, and I'm only here for water. She scoffs and opens her mouth to say something snotty. I just know it, so I say it again in my guard voice. Ma'am, I'm refilling my water. A server will be by shortly to get you another Cosmo. And I walk off. My pool manager comes up to me with that look on his face and I just give him attitude. How else did he want me to handle it? He hired me to guard lives, not serve drinks. Was I idiot? Totally. Was I overheated, cranky, and thirsty? Not to mention underpaid? You bet. The next story is titled, Karen Demands I Give Her a Motorcart I Am Bringing to My Disabled Mother, cast, op, me. M, my mother. K, Karen, doesn't have the haircut unfortunately, but definitely the attitude. A bit of backstory, I was 28 at the time of this story. Me and my mother live together because I take care of her when I am not working as she is disabled and walks with a cane with difficulty. Me and my mother went to the Mart of Walls. I was wearing a red shirt that says, "Do me a favor," and "Stop talking" on it. My mother looked to the area for the motorcarts and saw none there, so we tried to troop on with just a cart. I could see she was hurting as we walked and knew she couldn't make it all the way through our shopping on foot. Op, Mum, stop. I will go see if a cart got put back. M, okay, son. M just leaned against a wall as I dashed back to the entrance. Right as I got there, an older man was getting out of a motorcart and I was relieved. I asked how the charge on it was and he said he had only been on it for a little bit and was still pretty full. When he got off and left, I hopped on and started to drive it to where M was. Right as I was about to pass the entrance bay area, so I hadn't gotten far, I heard a voice. In comes the Karen, not bashing, but this woman was, well, a land whale. I am not a small guy either, a bit on the chub side, but I wouldn't say I was fat. K, oh thank God. An employee bringing a motorcart back. Please note, I am leaving the cart area and I am wearing a shirt that's the exact opposite of this store's color. I looked back with a raised eyebrow. She then snaps her fingers and points at the ground in front of her. Her gaggle of children around her like a herd of sheep. Seriously, there were like 8 kids around this woman. Op, ma'am, I don't work here. I am wearing a red shirt. K, then why are you in a motorcart? Those are for disabled people. She glares at me as she folds her arms in front of her. I roll my eyes at her and give her the stink eye. Op, first off, you don't know whether I have a disability or not. Second, I am getting this for my disabled mother. K, F **** your mother, I need it. I am fat. Op, being fat isn't a disability. And neither is being stupid. With that I motored away as she stomped her foot like a toddler and was cussing me out. I ignored her at this point and brought the cart to M. I didn't tell her about the K as I didn't want to think about it. As we shopped though, I noticed that K was apparently stalking us through the aisles, no motorcart, but I would occasionally see her peeking around a corner glaring at me. When we left, I made sure an older lady got the cart. No arrests, no assaults, but we were stalked through the store by a land whale. I felt like a penguin being followed by an orca. The next story is titled, I'm clearly not a flight attendant. Was on a flight to somewhere in Europe from London, unsure where as this was a while ago, flying with a low-cost air carrier, think orange logo. The plane had landed and people were getting up to try to depart before the doors of the aircraft had opened. I was in the aisle seat and stood to get my bag out of the overhead locker when I felt a tapping on my shoulder. 2 rows of seats back, a woman is cramped into the aisle and looking at me dead in the eyes. Can I use the bathroom while the plane is on the ground? I tell her I don't know and that maybe she could wait until she gets in the airport. I obviously am not an air host and I don't really look like someone who could answer her question. The next story is titled, Not My Job, But Thanks. My dad is very skilled at any form of construction, building, fixing, creating. It's not the type of job he does for a living, but he has a lot of fun with it. He has one big project he does every year to improve the house. This year he decided to rebuild the fences and gates at the front of the house to make them more decorative. He made the fence 10 feet instead of the standard 6, stained the wood a brownish red color, and added fancy gates with lots of accents and decorative tops. It looked really good. As he's finishing the last bit of work, this lady approaches. She tells him she lives on the next street over and had noticed him working on the fence. She loved what he'd done and thought it looked amazing. She wanted to hire him to redo her fence as well. And did he have a business card? My dad explained he wasn't a contractor, he was the homeowner. The lady was so embarrassed, but my dad took it as the best compliment he's ever gotten. Not only did she love his work, but she thought it looked professionally done. The next story is titled, I don't work at a laundromat. About a month ago I went to the laundromat. Because of COVID-19 I go all out at there. I wear a K95 mask, gloves, and sanitize anything I'm thinking about touching, such as the machine buttons and folding tables. Because of this, some older lady came up asking me where the extra detergent is that they sell. I helped her find it and then realized there was no point in her buying it when I had a whole thing of detergent with me. So after I took her over I stopped and said, wait, why don't you save a couple bucks and just use mine? That was when she realized I didn't actually work there, and she got a little sheepish and said, I'm so sorry, I thought you worked here. I laughed it off with her and she gratefully accepted some detergent from me. We had a conversation and it turns out she and her husband were up in the city for a procedure her husband was having at the hospital I was doing my nursing school clinicals at. It was such a great experience of I don't work here, and I thought y'all might like a wholesome story in a world full of lots of darkness right now. The next story is titled, I took a cooking class at a cooking store, and was complained about. This happened in December of 2019, so it was before the world crisis. As said above, my mum I took a cooking class in December of last year. This was a part of my birthday gift. I was given $120 worth of cooking classes as I am into cooking. And this would be a mother-daughter bonding moment. The class we were taking was the book of the month, and we were making Christmas cookies. The aprons we were given were the same as the workers, but minus the store's logo. As we were making the cookies, people come up and ask if they are samples. Both me and my mum say that we are doing a cooking class multiple times. Yet still people come up and ask still. Later, after the cookies are cooled and we are decorating them, a worker comes up to my mum, the teacher, and I and tell us the following, not exact words. Cashier. So a lady came up to me complaining about not being given a sample by one of the workers. We end up laughing about it. But before my mum and I were leaving, the phone goes off. It was the lady. She had lost her glasses. Karma's a bitch. Side note, I'm only 16 yo, so a lady thought a cooking store would hire a 16-year-old. The next story is titled, Weird People Demand to See David. So last night I was home alone, I'm in middle school, and these people in a red van come into my driveway. I'll be me, my friend who I was texting will be friend, this lady will be Karen, and other person will be map girl, she was the one with directions, me, hey friend, these people from out of state pulled into my driveway and have been sitting here for 20 minutes. Friend, ask your parents about it. Me, I already did and they said to ask if you might know them. I proceed to give them the plate number and type of car. Just as I finished telling him, a heavy-set woman with a weird mask, think like a pyramid on her face, came up. Karen, where the fuck is David? Me, who? Karen getting angrier, David the first, no he's here. At this point she tries to barge in. Just for background, I'm 5 feet 7 inches and this woman is like 5 feet 3 inches and there's a 1 foot step going into my house. Me, what the fuck are you doing? Karen, you're just trying to hide him from me. Me still trying to comprehend what's going on, who is David? At this point map girl pipes up, this is the wrong house. Karen walks back to her car without saying anything. I'm writing this the next day but I'm still trying to figure out who David is and what he did to earn this woman screaming at me. It would be great to hear what you think. The next story is titled, I'm so used to people thinking I work there. Today I'm in a hardware store looking for a shed. I ask a worker, with a bright red vest on, where they are. I see it won't fit in my car so I tell him I'll be back with a trailer. Just then a lady pulls up looking for, she doesn't know what it's called, but you sit on it while gardening. The guy in the vest is like, a what? And I'm like, oh, those are on aisle 12. She didn't even ask me, but I'm so used to it by now. I'm so used to getting the questions when I am not dressed like an employee. And it's been happening for years. I work at a university and I wear dress casual most of the time. So what is it about me? Is it that I am so intently looking at all my options of what to buy? Is it that I have that look that screams, manager? IDK. I don't care if I'm in a department store, a grocery store, a clothing store. I get it at least 1 visit out of 5. Maybe more. The next story is titled, He Waited in Line for This Ridiculous Flex. I'm an author on a book tour. I'm in a big chain bookstore, sitting at a table with a stack of my books in front of me and beside a 7-foot tall reproduction of my book cover. I'm chatting with someone while signing their book, and there are 3 people in line behind them. It's my first book, so 3 people in line is huge for me. I'm enjoying the hell out of it and I'm working my hardest to make sure everyone is having a great time. And they mostly are. Mostly. I start to pick up an impatient vibe from the man at the end of the line. He's kind of huffy, looking around a lot, and keeps trying to make eye contact with me as I'm writing a somewhat lengthy dedication for the person at the front. The front person asks if we can take a photo together. I say of course because I am so not used to anyone wanting to take a picture with me and I'm totally an attention hog. This really sets Grumpy Man off. Really, he barks. I'm trying my best to not be mad at Grumpy Man because he's in a line to buy my book. Maybe he's had an awful day. Maybe he's late for dinner. Maybe his parking meter ran out 5 minutes ago and he has so many parking tickets that they'll tow his car. Who knows? So I ask the other people in line if it's okay for this gentleman to jump ahead since he seems to be pressed for time, and everyone is cool with it. I motion for him to come on up. He plops a bag down on the signing table, pulls out 3 copies of Geddy Lee's Big Book of Bass, and says, "I need to return these." Oh. Oh no. I put on my best apologetic smile. "I'm so sorry for the confusion," I say, gesturing at my stack of books and the giant sign beside me. "I'm the author of this book and I'm here to sign copies of it today." "Do I look like I care? I need to return these," he shouts. "For sure, I get that," I say, "I just don't know how I can help you. I don't work here, I'm just visiting this store to sign my book." I point towards the cash desk about 20 feet away and say, "I'm sure that the awesome people who work at this store will be happy to help you. I stood in this line. I need you to help me," he snaps. I'm pretty convinced that he's not listening to me. "I'm so sorry about that confusion. It makes sense, there was a line of people, you figured it was a line for the cash, and you stood in it. But it turns out it was a line to get my autograph. The good news is that there's no line at the cash." I point again towards the actual cash. The other people in line are having a great time watching this show. And a few people have come creeping over from the coffee shop attached to the bookstore to get a better view. "Cut out this author bullcrap, shouts Grumpy Man, "and get me your manager." I stand up very slowly. I pick up a copy of my book from the stack and flip to the About the Author page. I hold it up beside my face and make the same smirking grin that I'm wearing in the headshot printed in the book. This visual aid seems to have worked, because Grumpy Man grabbed his 3 copies of Geddy Lee's Big Book of Bass and toddler stomped his way over to the actual cash. The next story is titled, "You're in the Wrong Country If You Think People Are Going to Do That For You." Here's your important background on me. I'm a British national who has been working in another country for a couple of years. I haven't been home at all during this time, so this year I saved up all my holiday, okayed it with my bosses, and decided to use it all on coming home from now until the new year. My flight touched down mid-afternoon yesterday at Big International Airport. I had opted to hire a car to use since I'm planning a couple of day trips to visit friends who now live across the country. It just so happened that the company I was going with had an empty-to-empty fuel policy. There was just enough fuel in the car to get you to the nearest petrol station, and you didn't have to bring it back with any specific amount of fuel in the tank. This all begins at the petrol station about 5 minutes down the road from the car hire place. I feel like this isn't a surprise to anyone reading, apart from the antagonist of this story, but she appears in a minute. But in the UK, on the whole, we fill up our own petrol tanks. People paid to pump your petrol for you are not a thing. If you go into really rural areas with no other petrol stations for miles around, you might get a hand from the one member of staff there, but that's it. This is the same in my country of work also. You mostly pay over the counter in the shop connected to the station, but for some of the chain petrol stations you can pay at the pump itself via a pin machine. Sorry if this is like teaching your grandmother to suck eggs and you know this already. It just so happens that this petrol station in question had the pay at pump option. The queue for paying behind the counter was massive, so I decided when I pulled in to pay at the pump. There was a bit of a wait to get to a free pump, and while waiting I noticed out of my window that a car just turning into the petrol station was a hire car by the same company as mine. At the time it was just something to spot, but I didn't realize that I would be front and center in their crosshairs. I eventually pull into a space, get out the car, and start filling it up. I finish and reach into my pocket to get my card out to pay when there's a tap on my shoulder. I look across and there's an, I would guess, mid-30s woman standing there looking angry. I should note that I myself am a woman in my late 20s, and was wearing the jogging bottoms and university hoodie that I had traveled in, so definitely in no discernible uniform at all. I'll be calling her Shouty American, SA, for short. SA, finally someone appears. Can you tell these other cars to move so we can get into this space next? Me, tired because flying is draining, and confused, no. They were here before you. SA, but they're not with car hire company. You are because your car says so. Get them to move and then get pumping our gas. Me, I'm not employed by anyone, I just hired the car. Also no one's going to pull any petrol in your car other than yourself. At this point I turned away from her so I could pay, and she did not like that. SA, pulling my arm away from the screen, I don't want petrol. The fact that she was trying to make fun of my accent was just odd. I want gas. We were told to fill up here, and if you don't do it I will drag you to that office and watch as you get fired. Obviously, because she is on the verge of shrieking at me and has created a scene, a member of staff comes over and asks what is happening. I was going to politely explain that the woman just seemed to be a little bit confused over what she's been told by the car hire company, but she gets in there first. SA, this employee of your partner firm Care Hire Company is terrible, she's refusing to pump my gas. Staff member, SM, to me, do you work for car hire company? Me, no, I just hired the car and needed to fill it up, and now I need to pay. SA, no. She works for them. Look at the stickers on her car. They're the same stickers on every hire car. SM, to her, madam, I don't think this lady works for car hire company, I think we just need to let her move on so she can leave and we can keep everyone moving. We also don't have any contracts with car hire company to begin with. At this point there are about 8 cars parked behind the car that she was in, since the driver hadn't thought to move into one of the now many free spaces next to the pumps, and many more indicating that they want to enter the petrol station. But SA seemed oblivious to this. SA, I want someone to fill up my car now. I don't care if you fill it up with petrol and not gas. She seemed to have no clue that petrol and gasoline are literally the same thing. You're all lucky that I don't film this and stick it on Facebook so you all get shamed and fired. SM, getting annoyed as there were people shouting and car horns blaring because of the blockage. You're in the wrong country if you think people are going to do that for you. Please tell the driver of your car to move, or we will have to have the car towed for an illegal obstruction. I'm pretty sure this isn't a thing, but I sense the guy was just hedging his bets that Shouty had no clue what the law was. She eventually signaled for the driver to move into a space, to the wonderful sound of British sarcastic cheers, "It's good to be home," while the staff member apologized profusely for what had happened and offered me anything in the shop on the house. I went home with a tank full of petrol, a deluxe Christmas sandwich, and a good story to tell to my family. That probably wasn't the welcome to the UK that Shouty expected, but it was the one she deserved. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comment.